Hey everyone, welcome to the part 2 review of our chapter 3. On number 1 here, I'm going to solve this problem by hand using the vertex form and again using the intercept form, and then I'll check the work by graphing it in the graphing calculator. So our equation needs to open up, have a minimum at -4, have an axis of symmetry at x equals 1, and have zeros at -3 and 5. So for starters, the fact that it tells you that it opens up means that your A value is going to be positive. So I would eliminate any answer choices that start off with a negative. And then next, I would look at that minimum at -4 and axis of symmetry, x equals 1. Put those together for your vertex. That max min value is always the y coordinate of your vertex, and the axis of symmetry is always the x coordinate of your vertex. So at this point, you need to start using your vertex form or your intercept form. I'm going to do vertex form first. So my vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And so I'm going to plug in my h and k values. So the x coordinate is h, the y coordinate is k. So I'm going to have I'll put something in for x in just a minute. So I have -1 squared plus k, so that's plus -4, just -4. And so I need to plug in something for x and y. So you have zeros here at -3, 0, and 5, 0. It doesn't matter which point you choose to plug in. Just take one of those points and plug those in for your x and y values. So I'll say 0 equals a times, and I'll use -3 for x. And so we'll do -3 minus 1. That's going to equal -4. Then we have to square that. So -4 squared is positive 16. So that's going to make positive 16a minus 4 equal to 0. Okay? So then I can solve for a by plussing 4 to the other side. 0 plus 4 is going to make 4. And so 4 equals 16a. I can divide both sides by 16 because that's the number by the letter. So divide both sides by 16. 4 over 16 is going to simplify to make 1 over 4. So once you know your a value, then you write your equation. So I'm going to write y equals, and you just write your equation with your a, h, and k. So y equals 1 over 4. And then x minus h, so x minus 1 squared, and then plus k, and k was -4, right? So minus 4. And so that's my answer. If I wanted to write my answer in intercept form, I'm actually going to use the same a value, but I'm going to do this problem as if just like from scratch. I'm going to start over again. So I'll do that over here. And so I'm still going to use my vertex, but I'll show you how I'm going to use it differently. So for starters, let's write down our intercept form equation. And so instead of using h and k, we're using p and q. We're still using x, y, and a though. So what do I plug in for p and q? That's going to be your zeros. So I'm going to go back over here, and instead of using -3, 0 for my x and y, I'm going to use -3 for my p and positive 5 for my q. And then instead of using my vertex point for h and k, there's no h and k in this formula, I'm going to use that for my x and y. Okay, so I'm going to plug in -3 for my p, and my x value is going to be 1, and my y value is -4, right? So I'm going to write -4 equals a times x value is 1, and then I'm minusing a -3, right? So we can rewrite that to say -4 equals a times 1 plus 3, because if you minus a negative, it's the same thing as plus, right? And I skipped the x minus q part. So x was 1, my q is 5, so 1 minus 5, 1 minus 5, okay? So I just have to do 1 plus 3, that's going to be 4, and 1 minus 5 is -4, and bring the rest down. And so just times 4 and -4 together, that's going to make -16. You still have the a there, equals -4. Divide both sides by -16, and you get a equal to +1/4. And so that's what I mentioned earlier. The a value is going to end up being the same because both formulas have the same, it's a, right? It's a in this formula, a in that formula. They're both quadratic formulas, so it's going to be the same a value. But the rest of your equation will look different because you have to say y equals your a value and then x minus p. So I am minusing a -3. So in other words, I can just write x plus 3, excuse me. So x plus 3 and then x minus 5. And so that's your equation right there, okay? You always want to check these by graphing them. So let me show you the graph real quick. Okay, so here I graphed both of my answers. You'll see those two equations made one graph. Made one graph because it's going to make the exact same graph. They're going to contain the same points. They're just written in different forms. So when you check your work, all you need to do is graph your equation. Remember, press Control-T and verify that the points given to you are there. So these are the points that were given to me, -3, 0, 5, 0, and 1, -4. They're all there. We know we did it right. We can move on. So number 2, you can do this in the graph as well, but we can actually do this without the graph. What are the domains and ranges of the following functions? So your vertex always starts off at 0, 0. And so if I have x minus 3 squared, that means it's going to go right 3. So that means my vertex has moved from 0, 0 to 3, 0. And why is that relevant? Well, your domain is the span of the x values. And your domain is always all real numbers, always. So you can write the words all real numbers. You can put negative infinity to positive infinity. You could write the real number symbol. Doesn't matter, okay? The range is the thing you have to think about, and the range is determined by the direction of the graph. This is a positive graph because there's no negatives right here. So this is a positive graph. The graph's going up. So the graph's going up, so it's going towards positive infinity. So I'll have some number here to positive infinity. Or you can say y is greater than or equal to, and then what number do we need to plug in there? Well, just look at that y coordinate of your vertex, 0. So the graph is going from 0 to infinity, or y is greater than or equal to 0. Just graph it. Get the vertex, look at the direction of the graph, and you just look at the y coordinate of the graph. The domain's always all real numbers. That's how you do it from a graph standpoint. This is how you do it without the graph. So letter B, I have x squared minus 9. The graph, the minus sign's on the outside, right? So your vertex went from 0, 0 down 9 spots, right? So because it went down 9, my vertex has moved from 0, 0 to 0, -9. So I'll just say V for vertex. And so my domain, well, what's my domain? It's always all real numbers. And what's my range? Well, this graph is still a positive graph. There's no negative outside the x squared. So the graph's going to go up. So it's going to start at -9. That's the y coordinate of my vertex. And then it's going to go up to infinity, up forever. And so the other way you would see that represented is y is greater than or equal to -9. Remember the stuff about the brackets and parentheses. Parentheses are for things you cannot touch, like infinity. You'll never be able to touch infinity. But you can touch the numbers that it goes through. So it's going through -9. So that's a bracket, all right? So let's move on to letter C. Letter C is a negative graph. That's going to be an important detail for our range. But before I talk about that, let's talk about our vertex. All right. So, yeah, that means our graph's going to go down. That means the vertex moved left 4, and that means it went up 2 as well. So my vertex went -4, that's left 4, and then +2. So how does that affect your domain and range? Well, the domain, whether it opens up or down, is still always all real numbers, so from -infinity to +infinity. And my range, knowing that it is going down, and by going down, I mean it's going to make an upside down parabola. Knowing that, it's going to go from negative infinity to, and then what's your y value of your vertex? That positive 2. So put that positive 2 in a bracket. Or you can say y is less than or equal to positive 2. But that's how you would do these without the graph calculator. If you need the graph calculator, again, look for the direction of the graph. Is it opening up or down? That'll tell you if it's going to positive infinity or negative infinity. And then look at that y-coordinate of the vertex. Number 3 says, what's the equation of the parabola that has a focus at 0, -9 and a directrix of y equals 9? So my directrix is y equals, so that means I'm going to use these formulas right here. Okay, so y equals negative p. I'm going to write that underneath my y equals 9. And then my focus formula said 0, comma p. So 0, comma p. So p is -9, right? So that's basically what we've concluded here. P equals -9. All right, so because I know my vertex is at 0, 0, my equation is simply 1 over 4p, -9, x squared. So that's going to be y equals -1 over 36 x squared. And that's the answer. How did I know that? Just refer back to these formulas as needed. Pay attention to what you're given. The focus will be 0, comma some number if it's a y equals thing, because the p will be in the y coordinate. If it's an x equals directrix or equation or whatever, the p will be in the x coordinate. Directrix will be x equals, equation will be x equals. This one's y equals, that one's y equals. So just pay attention to those details, okay? This last one you have to do in the TI Inspire. You have to follow all the steps that I put on the back of your paper. Do that, and you'll need to graph it. So you'll have to do this Control-2, add a graph, and then you'll have to do Control-T to answer the follow-up question. So I do have a separate video on how to do this stuff. I will post that in the description as well. But that being said, I might as well just give you the answers to this question. So when I plug it into the calculator, I get an A value of 2.3455. I get a B value of -7.8905. And then I get a C value of 3.456, so 3456. All right, so you're going to take that, you're going to plug it into your standard form equation, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and then the instructions say round all numbers to the nearest thousandths place, so that's the third decimal place. So these two have decimal places out to 4 numbers, so you look at that fourth number to see if it's going to round up that third number, in which case it is. So I'm going to say y equals 2.34, and then the 5 rounds to a 6, so I'll put an x squared by it, and then it's plus bx, so, and b was negative, so minus 7.8905, so 89, the 05, the 5 rounds to 0 up to a 1, so 891, and then plus c, so c is 3.456, there's no fourth digit, so that's already in the thousandths place there. So that would be the equation answer. And so if you type this into a graph and you do Control-T, you'll see the values be a little bit different because we did round. If you wanted them to be exactly the same, use the unrounded version. Remember, the unrounded version, the calculator can do that for you automatically by following these steps. That being said, let's answer this question of what is the value of y when x equals 8? I'm going to get this using the non-rounded equation, okay? But when x equals 8, you're going to get y equals 90.444. And yeah, you would get a slightly different value if you use the rounded equation. So please do not use the rounded equation if you don't have to. So that's going to draw my notes to a close. Thank you for watching, and good luck.